that's what I've been doing today, and it's a start. Um, I also did a bunch of others. So we're having lentils with spicy woman tomato soup and some brown rice and a few carrots too. And there's one. This one might work out a bit better. I don't know. We'll see. But it's just a start right now. And I've just been using these cheap dollar store Dollarama paints, and they've been working out pretty well. Mind you, the acrylic one's not very good, but I've been using some expensive acrylics as well. I'm going to be talking about trolls. And well, there's the how I've been doing. I do the acrylic first, and then the watercolor stuff with the leaves. So, yeah, a lot of fun. And I'm exhausted. So, trolls. Wow, is that ever bad? There's it kind of it reminds me of being young, and it reminds me of a time when I used to listen to pop music and stuff like that, because a big hero in this is what's her name? Poppy.
Cyndi Lauper.
Poppy.
And she sings
and
lots
she
of
sings lots of pop.
like Cyndi Lauper stuff. Was she the one?
Well, there was one that was.
Yeah, girls just want to have fun. Trolls just want to have fun.
And they sing a lot of. And so anyway, it reminds me of a time when we've been talking about bullying and stuff lately. But I never really. People have asked me, was I ever bullied? And no. But you know, when I think about it, people tried a lot. It just didn't get to me. Honestly, I don't care. Like, there was one friend that I had. She was she lived in the cul-de-sac, and so her family was well off, and mine wasn't. And so I was really, I think I was pretty much her only friend, and I don't know, the neighborhood kids, that was about it that she had. And I kind of felt bad for her because her parents worked all the time. My mom worked, and she didn't make very much money. She worked all the time though, because she made low wages, right? And she had to support a family, and my dad took care of us at home, so we had parenting, which not every child, most children from my generation, they didn't have that. And so I was pretty lucky, and I felt bad for her, that she seemed lonely all the time, and she had lots of toys. She had all the Cabbage Patch Kids and stuff like that, which I didn't even have one Cabbage Patch doll. And then my mom wanted me to fit in or whatever, and so she made me a Cabbage Patch doll, which was even worse than not having a Cabbage Patch doll at all. And I feel bad because my mom was
quite up to snuff for.
No, you had to have the real thing, or it wasn't right.
So she did a good job doing it.
Of course she did. Yeah. She's a perfect sewer.
Well, that's
amazing.
Wonderful, because was her maiden name Couturier?
Yes.
That means some
yes.
stuff. So.
And she's amazing. Like, she'd quilt by hand, and her quilting looked like her stitches looked perfect. A machine couldn't have done it better.
Yeah.
She's amazing. Anyway.
But so, yeah, I know what kids are like.
Yes. And so at one point, this friend of mine, the other neighborhood kids were around, and they were kind of making fun of her Mini Pops tape, and I was trying to make her feel better, and I said, oh, it sounds just as good as the original stuff or whatever. Like it's whatever.
So these were cover versions, were they?
Yeah, they were like little kids doing covers of songs. Anyway,
Could have been better in some cases.
and I mean, I didn't have anything like that. Anyway, it was very rare that I got an album at all. My mom got me Heart and Madonna for Christmas one year, and I was thrilled. It would have been so expensive for her because she was making so little money, and I thought that the fire hall that she was working at, she was answering phone calls at night, and she was going to school during the day at the college, and after school she was working at a bookstore. I don't know when she slept.
Heavy schedule back then.
Yeah, I mean, anytime she had available, she'd volunteer for all sorts of things. Anyway, so I thought that the fire hall had bought me the tapes, and I thanked the fire chief and stuff, and he's like, your mom got it. And I was like, no, she wouldn't have got this. And I was like, but how did you know which tapes I would? I was so sure that somehow the fire chief, he was somehow psychic or something, and knew just what tapes I would want.
And would know all about Heart and Madonna.
Yes. Because it certainly couldn't have been my mom. She would never have got me that. It was my mom. And so wonderful of her. And
How
she
old
didn't.
was the fire chief?
I don't know.
Maybe 50 or something.
Probably.
Yeah, wow. Okay.
So anyway, with the mini pops thing. So then my friend was, it was her tape. And then she was saying, aha, you like the mini pops, you like, and so she was turning the teasing on me, even though it was her tape. And I was just trying to be supportive of her so that she wasn't getting teased, right? And so it doesn't always work out. And but for me, I really didn't care. I was like, well, it's your tape, and you know, I was like, whatever, you know. So, but then I saw her a long time later, like once we were adults, and she brought it up. She was like, remember, you used to like the mini pops? And I'm like, yeah. I didn't even know the mini pops. Didn't even know them. I heard them that one day.
No. Funny how things get all exaggerated.
Anyway, you want to talk about the Trolls?
Oh yeah. Wow.
Avoiding the topic.
This was a really bad review of Trolls, wasn't it?
No, not really. We're going to get around to it. The story you told was a lot more interesting.
Yeah, it was.
Than the Trolls movie?
Make a movie about that.
So we're talking about the
more
pop
interesting than Trolls. Oh yeah.
singer, heroine or hero, whatever.
And basically, the movie is like all of the people were separated, you know, and the trolls, different types of trolls were separated, and they all sing different types of music. And so there's lots of trolls out there, way more than they thought. And why can't we all live together?
Yeah.
And our ancestors thought we couldn't live together, but let's just try to get along. And honestly, if you just look at people superficially and say, oh yeah, I can get along with that music or whatever, or I like eating whatever type of food, then maybe it makes it easier to get along on a really superficial level.
Yeah.
But you're not getting to know the people, so eventually things will come out and you'll go, wait a minute, I didn't realize they were like that, and oh my gosh, they're going to take away women's rights, or you know, big deals. Very, you know, people are very different, and
there aren't just religious beliefs.
No,
there are religious practices.
all people are
And
very different.
you know, like a lot of practices, like with Mormons, Mormons, from what I can tell, still believe in polytheism, but they believe in the mainstream believe in it's a law of the land, so you obey it. At least that's the stated church policy. Judging from what they had on Boston Legal, is that what it's called? They had one time dealing with polytheism in, I believe, Idaho and Utah. And Alan Shore, I think that was the name of the character, was called up before the A court in Utah. He was lambasting them for not prosecuting polytheism to the full extent of the law, so there might be something.
I don't think you're meaning polytheism.
Polytheism, polygamy. I'm very tired of it.
Sounds like you're as tired as me.
Yeah, I didn't get enough sleep last night. I'm on dexamethasone. It's very strong.
That's one
steroid.
very interesting
Mormon
polytheism. Offset.
Yeah, you are off the hook, Utah. Okay, state of Utah.
And I'm exhausted, and I caught that.
Oh, I'm really tired.
Yeah, he was wired on dexamethasone, so he was up in the middle of the night telling me blah 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 about whatever he was excited about. And
believe me, not
no, it's not a recreational
drug.
About. It's his chemo.
Yeah,
well,
it's awful
whatever.
stuff. But
and steroids. What do you do?
Yeah, they're about the most powerful steroids going. Or it's the most powerful steroid.
And I take 5 doses at one time. So it's lucky that they have me taking Benadryl now.
Get some amped. But now,
not like
today
it used to.
he mostly
They used to
over.
have me taking 10 at a time.
Yeah. Get some red in the cheeks.
Yeah, I didn't get sunburned.
No. Anyway, so the movie is terrible, Trolls, and it's made for really like kids that were about my age when I was the story about me, the mini pop story. But yeah, what I listened to at that time was Madonna, Like a Virgin, and Heart. I love
It's about 84, 85, something like that. So you would have been 9, 10 years old.
Yeah, probably.
Ran Prairie by then?
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been 9, 10. Anyway.
I can think of worse things than Heart. One of them is Madonna. But I actually don't think she was terribly bad. It's just Heart was so much better. I liked Heart from the 70s.
Yeah.
They had good instrumental stuff and very good vocals. So.
Yeah. We didn't have a tape deck in our car. I don't even think we had a radio. Yeah, we wouldn't have had one. And so I'd sing. Kathy had asked me to sing a song or whatever, and then another song, and I'd sing them while we were driving back and forth to visit my grandma on the farm.
Sound system.
Yeah, that was it.
In-car sound system.
Yeah, so I knew all the words to many songs.
And Pauline was a very good singer. You were in the choir. Were you in the choir at that point?
Yes, I was always in choirs. Anyway, boy, I have a hard time reviewing Trolls.
Well, you just Anyway,
the good guys were the pop people, and there were a few other good guys in there, but not really, But little kids, the age that would be watching Trolls, they'd be listening to pop. And but I had a problem with how they made the country people out to be really bad guys. They were
even
very
worse than the
close-minded.
classic rock people.
They were really bad.
Stereotyping Southerners.
Because
Oh, you're
honestly,
othering Southerners.
There was one cowboy who was trying to help them escape, and he turned out not to be. I'm giving it away, but I won't
don't think it's
say
gonna make
who-
much difference.
No.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
In case you want to watch
He wasn't a cowboy at all.
Oh,
So he
heaven.
wasn't a country troll.
There we go.
That was just a lie.
And were the classic rock
So
people
all
bad
of the
too?
country people were bad.
The rock and roll was bad too. There you go.
Uh,
And the
pop
funny,
rock stuff.
yeah, exactly right. And they're probably not very nice people, but you know, rock and roll back in the day, before the rock became classic, they actually were good guys opposed to the pop people. Pop people, yeah, it's just corporate stuff. So rock and roll helped break that down, and it starting in the 70s, it started building up again. So I can remember listening to album rock on FM in the
Spicy woman,
yeah.
tomato soup.
I drink a lot of water, but on FM,
It's me sniffling.
middle of the night, they'd play long album cuts, and the guy playing them, Barry something, I think it was, just in case they're watching. Barry, thanks a lot. Anyway, sometime in the middle of the night, maybe a little after midnight, there's just dead air for about 10 minutes. Then this Barry guy gets back on the air, gets going. So before he gets going, he says, "Sorry about that, just giving the competition a chance to catch up." There we go. Yeah, one of the great moments in my life. You know, dead air, 10, 11 minutes dead air. And then he
great.
comes back and just mellows through it, you know? I'm going, yeah, I don't know. It probably was standard back in that time, but hey, who knows? Maybe it was out, you know, getting up close and personal with a doobie.
I thought you
Yeah.
already reviewed Veganist, Ultra Metabolism, and you didn't review these?
I think I reviewed this. It's been so long. We've been covering so many other things. I'll cover. This is just
the
I'll say.
rock and roll. Yes.
Yeah,
cover
I know
that.
I haven't done that one, but this is just a review. I'm doing the Veganist. I did the review before, and then right after it, I finished Ultra Metabolism. Now you went through Ultra Metabolism, so I really don't have to cover it much, right?
I don't
You
know.
you reviewed it. I'm pretty sure. We're going to finish it.
No idea.
What was that? 16th of September. That's quite a while back.
But you enjoyed it anyway.
It was quite good. I like the Veganist much more than I thought it would. So yeah, so I finished them within 5 days of each other. So I was just going to just re-review the Veganist in the context of Ultra Metabolism. As it turns out, I can't remember too much about it, except that they're both pretty good. Don't waste your money. Get them out of the library, something like that, or
Yeah.
maybe you can get some stuff off the
Well,
internet. This is Mark Hyman, MD, and
yeah, he's written so many books.
Kathy
on
Freston, MD. So they'll have some stuff
could-
on the internet, you won't have to pay for different ways of looking at things, but I think you both have some valuable
Okay,
stuff.
so rock and roll. The
Bible and the Mind. When was this published? 82? Let's see, 1982. I remember that. And that's fairly good memory. When did I finish up? 16th of September.
Okay, so
that was
you're gonna
about
talk
half
about
a
it.
month ago. Yeah. Now, don't bother buying this. I'm going to and don't bother reading it unless you. I mean, I was around, when the. This is about Satanism and rock and roll. So this person, and yeah, that is a negative when I use it in this case. Okay, these people. They actually bothered, I guess, or they claim to have bothered to have played Stairway to Heaven backwards. Why would you bother? It's pretty good frontwards,
I listened to it backwards.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
And you actually heard what's supposed to be
He
there?
will kill the Lord, hear him, or he will kill the Lord, hear him 666 or something. There's some
It's
other
supposed
stuff.
to be Satan, sweet Satan, or something like that.
Yeah.
It might be there, but how are you going to apprehend that backwards? You have to kind of. I think you'd have to do some studies.
Honestly, I think they probably did it on purpose.
Oh, it could be. I mean,
Probably,
putting
yeah.
stuff backwards. The Beatles were doing, some of the guitar. No, it's John Lennon's vocals at the end of Rain are backwards.
Yeah.
They've got a backwards guitar solo on I'm Only Sleeping. So that's 1966.
After I listened to Stairway to Heaven backwards, I turned my sister's Tiffany tape backwards.
Hmm?
It was fine.
But you never heard any weird
I
stuff.
didn't hear anything. Interesting.
So I've heard this stuff,
Either way.
some stuff played backwards. This was back in real time, back in 1982 thereabouts, and someone was playing this stuff on the radio, and I can hear something that sound like the oral equivalent of chicken scratches, but I can't make anything out. It's supposed to be Sweet Satan, oh Sweet Satan, and all that sort of stuff. And, well, it's not even that clear if indeed it's there.
So you tried
Backwards.
it and you didn't
No,
hear it.
it was they were playing it on the radio or something like that. Here it is. No, they might have been garbling it up. I don't.
Because it was pretty clear when I heard it.
It doesn't bother me when like if someone wants to sing about Satan, like the Rolling Stones in '73, dancing with
whatever.
Mr. D.
It got them. It got them a little bit of fame. Like people still talk about that.
I guess so.
Whatever.
It's more obvious in something like Dancing with Mr. D. I presume that's a devil or something like that. But it's not a fun time for Mick Jagger because it ends up it's Mrs. D or something like that. Who's dancing with Mrs. D? I guess Satan's a cross-dresser or something. I don't know what this is. It's not one of the best songs by any means. And when was that? It was released 1973 on Goat's Head Soup. Definitely not recommended unless you're a completist, like I tend to be with some groups that I like or used to like or whatever. Definitely, it's been a long time since I liked anything I've heard by the Rolling Stones. And when I say long time, I mean decades. It might be, decades. Maybe Johnny Depp's favorite Rolling Stone album, and it's not a very good album, but Some Girls. I'm not talking about that song. I like that song much at all. But they got a couple of interesting songs in it. Not very well played, though. So, anyway, this guy, 82, and he has a whole chapter devoted to, and there's not that many chapters, 20 chapters, and a whole chapter, I think it's fairly early, let's see if I can find it. The legendary Lennon from Liverpool. Talk about alliteration. The legendary Lennon. It's Liverpool, it's not Vladimir Ilyich Ulyanov, otherwise known as Lenin, a dude from the Lena River. And in 1982, when was John Lennon assassinated? 1980. Oh, the timing on this is really insensitive. And so it was late 1980 when Lennon was assassinated, and this guy talks about in kind of like boastful terms about having done a summation of Lennon's career.
I noticed somebody who owned that really
they were
got
going
the marker
on
out.
the marker out, and it's just for one chapter, it looks like.
Yeah.
And is it the Lennon one? I'm not sure. Exorcising My Demon. And they actually, I think other places they put things like, highlighted things. But that one chapter, Exorcising My Demons, is very important.
There's more underlined there than is not underlined.
Almost. So Lennon, who died late, even early November, but late 1980, and he's talking in what I see as boastful terms about having written an expose of John Lennon's response to the world's outpouring of grief for gently that long time, or some of the world, much of the world, and he's exposing, and I think that's kind of insensitive, because this guy's a Christian, and I have to tell you that. And it was a guy who'd had some sort of mental problems, who'd gotten into a Christian group, and they were denouncing John Lennon. I consider that an assassination. I suspect that they were saying he deserves to die, and all this sort of stuff. I should really check that out, see what they were saying to this poor benighted individual. Might still be alive. but very insensitive. A whole chapter crowing about how John Lennon basically, well, you didn't deserve to die, but I kind of did, that sort of stuff, Fact is, it's to me, it's a borderline.
The guy who assassinated deserved to die?
No, he's saying
What?
John Lennon deserved to die. It didn't deserve to die because there are laws, but he did deserve to die.
Oh, that's what
Because
he's
he's a
saying.
bad guy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I see what you're saying.
I'm putting words into his mouth, and to a certain extent, I'm making
Yeah.
a straw person out of him, but not much. It is borderline incitement to violence, as far as I'm concerned. This stuff should be published. Everything basically should be published, unless it's a contract put on someone, and that's or a group of people, and that would be done by mafioso or by religious zealots, shall we call them, and any other type of individual, like politicos, like anarchists or communists or Nazis. The Nazis apparently put a contract out on Albert Einstein. Yeah. And I know I ran across one guy who was telling me very earnest, this is a university prof, like smart people can be really evil too, like the Nazis. Like, anyway,
Smart.
the Nazis were, like, what was Himmler, a chicken farmer? I don't really mean to put chicken farmers. Wow. Hitler, like a failed artist, architect type of thing, just kind of like a lumpen proletariat represented. That's good German, pronounced very badly. So what is that? It's something used by Marx. It means rag people, right? A lump is a rag or something like that. It's basically the scrapings of the street, at least according to Marx's formulation. He did include literati in there, yellows.
Yeah.
He would say a fairly comprehensive enumeration of what he classed as lumpen proletariat, sweepings of the street.
Yeah, it's funny that a lot of yellows are claim to be some Marxist.
They got no clue.
Yeah.
No clue. I mean, they're some of the first to go when the Marxists take over. One example is Mayakovsky, who was a futurist. So the futurists tended to be fascists, but he supported strongly, if not consistently, the revolution in Russia. And when Stalin took over, it didn't take long for him to commit suicide. Now, I am a little skeptical about him actually committing suicide. I think a number of people committed suicide during Stalin's regime, and that's the official story. And I think Stalin just
Was
helped them
offing
along.
people? Yeah.
Yeah,
And so
like they probably were thinking,
you live by
we
the
killed
sword and you die
Trotsky
by
with
the
an ice pick in Mexico. How can we think of it? Do we want to think of it as a suicide? Make it portrayed as a suicide? He stuck an ice pick in his head. No, we actually
That would
want
be
to
tough.
intimidate people. We want to let them know it doesn't matter where they go in the world. We can get them. That's incidentally, I'd say, why Putin killed that one guy who was. They really didn't tell about it, but he was a Russian who either was. He seemed to be very light in color. I think he was a convert to
this review,
Islam.
I'm going to have to make it not for kids, given the content.
But rock and roll thing?
I'm picking the head.
Okay, well, yeah.
Yeah.
Spoiler